On December 23, 2015, just 2 days before Christmas, a strange series of events began to unfold across western Ukraine. The afternoon was cold, with temperatures dropping below freezing. Families were getting home from work, kids were settling in for the evening, and the warm glow of holiday lights filled the streets. Then, suddenly, everything went dark. At around 3:30 p.m., operators at the Prekarpachabla control center watched in disbelief as cursors on their computer screens began moving on their own. One by one, unseen hands were clicking on substations, systematically tripping breakers and shutting them down. The operators tried to regain control, grabbing their mice, but they were locked out. Within minutes, 30 substations were offline, plunging over 230,000 people into a sudden, chilling darkness. This wasn't a technical glitch or a storm. This was the world's first confirmed blackout caused by a CyberAttack. What the operators were witnessing was the final, devastating phase of a meticulously planned operation that had begun months earlier. The attackers, a sophisticated group later linked to a Russian state-sponsored unit known as Sandworm, didn't just stumble into the system. They laid the groundwork with patient, calculated precision. Their initial entry point was a classic, yet highly effective, trick: spear phishing. They sent emails to employees of the power company, cleverly disguised as official communications. These emails contained attachments, malicious Word or Excel documents that looked completely harmless. When an unsuspecting employee opened one of these documents and enabled macros, they unknowingly unleashed a powerful piece of malware called BlackEnergy 3. This malware acted as a digital skeleton key, quietly creating a backdoor into the company's IT network. Once inside, the hackers were invisible. They moved silently through the corporate network for months, mapping out the digital terrain, escalating their privileges, and gathering crucial credentials. They weren't just looking for data. They were on a reconnaissance mission, studying the very heart of the power grid's control system. Their goal was to bridge the gap between the corporate IT network and the highly protected Industrial Control Systems, or ICS network. This is the network that directly manages the physical equipment, the circuit breakers, switches, and relays that keep the lights on. Breaching this air gap is the holy grail for infrastructure hackers, and the Sandworm team was methodical. They harvested VPN credentials, which allowed them to pivot from the business side of the company directly into the industrial control environment. Once they gained access to the SCADA system, the software used to monitor and control the grid, they were in the driver's seat. They spent weeks observing the operators, learning how they worked, studying their procedures, and identifying the key controls for the substations. They were learning the language of the grid itself. All this was in preparation for the main event on December 23rd, when the moment came. The attack was a multi-pronged assault designed to cause maximum disruption and delay recovery. As the phantom cursors took over the control screens, shutting down power, the attackers launched the second phase of their plan. They initiated a telephony denial over service, or TDOS attack. This flooded the power company's call centers with thousands of fake, automated phone calls. Residents trying to report the outage were met with a constant busy signal. This sowed confusion, prevented the company from understanding the scale of the problem, and added a layer of psychological stress to the chaos. But the attackers weren't finished. Their third and most destructive step was designed to cripple the recovery effort. They deployed a piece of malware called KillDisk. This malicious code didn't just delete files. It went deeper, wiping the master boot record of critical servers and workstations, rendering them completely unbootable. It was the digital equivalent of taking a sledgehammer to the control center's computers. They even targeted the uninterruptible power supplies, the battery backups for the control center, ensuring that once the main power went out, the control center itself would be left in the dark. The operators, locked out and powerless, could only watch the damage unfold. With their computers destroyed and communication lines jammed, they were forced to revert to manual operations. Imagine being plunged back in time 100 years. Utility workers had to be dispatched in the freezing cold, driving out to each of the 30 affected substations to manually flip the breakers and restore power. It was a slow, painstaking process. While some customers had their power back within a few hours, it took a full 6 hours to restore electricity to everyone. The 2015 Ukraine blackout was a watershed moment in the history of cybersecurity. It moved the threat of cyber warfare from the theoretical to the terrifyingly real. It proved that a nation has critical infrastructure, the very systems we rely on for modern life, could be targeted and disabled by an adversary thousands of miles away, armed with nothing more than a keyboard and malicious code. The attack served as a global wake-up call. Security experts and governments around the world analyzed every detail of the operation. It highlighted the vulnerabilities inherent in connecting industrial control systems to the internet and the immense danger posed by sophisticated state-sponsored hacking groups. The attackers' methods, the combination of spear phishing, credential theft, control system manipulation, and destructive malware, became a textbook example of a modern hybrid warfare tactic. And it wasn't a one-off event. Almost exactly a year later, in December 2016, Kyiv, Ukraine's capital, was hit by another cyber attack on its power grid. This time, the attackers used a new, even more sophisticated piece of malware named Indestroyer or Crash Override. This malware was specifically designed to speak the industrial communication protocols used by grid equipment. It was a modular, automated weapon capable of causing widespread blackouts on its own. While this second attack was smaller in scale, it demonstrated a terrifying evolution in the attacker's capabilities. The lessons from Ukraine are stark. The line between the digital and physical worlds has blurred. Protecting our power grids, water supplies, and transportation systems from cyber threats is no longer just an IT issue. It's a matter of national security. These events have spurred a massive push to improve the security of industrial control systems worldwide, forcing utilities and governments to rethink their defenses against an invisible and ever-evolving enemy. The quiet clicks of a mouse in a control room in Ukraine echoed across the globe, forever changing our understanding of what it means to be secure in the 21st century. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating and important as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of technology and cybersecurity. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.